So these are some helpful hints before we get started on the tutorial on how to log into a AT&T site with the web portal. Control Alt and print screen will copy just the current tab you have pulled up instead of doing your whole desktop screen copy. Control C is copy whatever you have selected. Control V is paste. Our vendor ID, web portal website. And if you're a first-time user on this, you want to go to that website and create a login for that. AT&T National Field Service Desk. And those, once you call that 1-800 number, the prompts are pretty self-explanatory on how to get a hold of someone. The microwave department, we don't contact them too much, but it's a helpful number to have. COL for a common ID would represent Colorado LTE equipment, or COU would equal Colorado UMTS equipment. When we first log into the site, it's going to give us a pre-work ID that we need to record down and eventually email back to Tyler. And when we log out of the site, we need to record the NSFD confirmation number and email that with our ticket to Tyler. It got sidetracked, but the pre-work ID is going to be today's date followed by a 4 or 3-digit number, and only select closed WRT, which is the same as a WER ticket if the job is 100% complete and increases are approved, like a crane increase or a man lift increase or additional labor increase. And that stuff we can confirm with Tyler before we close out the ticket. And this whole process that we're going to go through, I did it with my laptop, but you can also use your cell phone to log into these sites. And we also need to do screenshots or screen captures of the pre-RSSIs and current RSSIs and pre-alarms and post-alarms when we log out of these sites. So this will be a video on, I guess for writing it down, this will be a video on how to log into the web portal for AT&T work. So whenever we get dispatched to a site, we'll have an email, usually from Tyler or Jim, with a work order. It'll give us a request ID right here, a WER number, or NSFD, National Field Service Desk. We'll call it a WRT ticket number, which is the same thing. We'll use this number on the web portal to log into the site. It'll give us a common ID, which on this one is COL03047. CO is for Colorado, L is for LTE. So if we had a UTU, it would be Utah UMTS equipment. Then we have an FA code. It's a field asset code. They consider the whole site as an asset, and they keep track of all that. We can use this to search for the site in a Excel document, pull up lat and long, site access information, a whole bunch of other good stuff. Over here, location name is the location name of the site. Address is right here. Addresses usually work out pretty well in downtown Denver and downtown Utah sites. A lot of the outskirts sites we want to use lat and long to find, or the handwritten directions. So as we keep moving down here, we have category, tower service impacting degraded OSS or out of service. Technology is LTE, which we know from up here on the common ID, COL, L for LTE. We have our frequency, 2100, which would be AWS. We're working on gamma sector and carrier RRH. This is first carrier. So first carrier means this was the first LTE technology that they put on that tower. So 700 LTE is not always going to be the first carrier. It can be second or third or fourth. It's just whenever that technology got put on that tower. This was the first LTE put on site, was frequency 2100. And then second carrier will be, let's say, 700 megahertz, and third carrier will be 1900 megahertz. Active MIMO on site. This stuff doesn't really pertain to us. MIMO is multi-in, multi-out. And then this is stuff the tech kind of just has to fill in here as he creates the ticket. As we move down the email, it gives our RU or RH location. On this one, it's on tower. Operations submitted it. Work request priority is a P6, so we have 72 hours to fix it or at least get on site and figure out what's going on. Gives us a due date, and that coincides with when we get the email or when we get the work order, and then gives us our priority. And the P5 is a higher priority than a P6. So P1 is the most extreme priority. P10 is the slowest priority. Gives us the equipment ID again. And that does play an effect when we have 2 LTE cabinets on site. So we want to make sure we're working on the right cabinet. We could have a COL 03047R, so it'd be a second LTE cabinet on site. This is our trouble ticket. Sometimes National Field Service Desk will ask us for that. And troubleshooting, this is what the tech said he did on site. And then this is our problem description here of what is actually happening on site. So it gives us the FA code, LTE Gamma 2100, LTE site down, the site tech, AT&T site tech, locked and unlocked sector, reset sector, clean fiber, and SFP. These did not work. So it gives us a little bit of detail of what the AT&T tech did to try and resolve the issue. As we continue down, we will have additional site information. So this will give us handwritten directions on how to get to the site, which come in really handy. Give you just about turn-by-turn directions and highway numbers and mile marker distances. And as we come down through here, it gives us lock box location if there is any. Right here, no lock box on site. Gate combo 711. Crown Castle is the tower owner. It gives us a whole bunch of really good information. So what we'll do is we'll take that WER number we had on our top of our ticket, and we'll copy that and move on to the web portal. I attached the URL at the very last page of this PDF, so we can copy and paste that. If you are new, it will come up with a login or username and password, or it'll give you, and at the bottom it'll give you an option for new user, and you can go on there and select new user. It'll ask for your first and last name, telephone number, email. It doesn't have to be a company email, and vendor ID, which is also on the last page of this, and you can put all that information in and get your ID and password. So once we get logged in, then we can go to actually logging into the site. So we'll want to select a new ticket. We're not returning on site, and even if we are returning on site, we'd only use this if we left the ticket open overnight. Most of the time we do log completely out every day, so we'll always just do a new ticket. We'll put our WER number and the ticket number, and then so we have our WER number in there. Then we'll go to service impacting, yes or no. So if we're going to be locking sectors or troubleshooting as service RRH, then we'll want to do service impacting. And then visit details. For this site, we were going to be troubleshooting Gamma 2100, and I accidentally did 2C for second carrier. It should have been first carrier for out of service. So once we have that basic information filled out, we can click continue, and it'll create a ticket for this location. It'll give us the region West Colorado. It'll ask us to verify the address that's on the ticket, and that's all correct. So we can select yes. And at this point, it'll pop up saying the health check is running, please wait. And during this time, it'll give us our pre-work ID, which we'll want to record down. It is today's date, so 042417, followed by 4 or 3-digit number. So in this case, it's 799. Our activity is tower work. We don't have an EIM yet, and equipment in maintenance mode. Once this ticket is created, the whole site will be in a maintenance mode, so no alarms that we possibly create will go out and create another ticket. It'll give us our site address and then what we wrote down for our details. So as we look at this, once it's completed, it'll say health check complete, and it'll pull up alarms, sectors, Viswar RSSI, and closed ticket. So right now we have 4 alarms total on site. And then we can click on directions, which will be the same that's in the work order that gets emailed to us. We can click on gate combos, and all it says is use key. Sometimes it'll have the Crown Castle gate combination, which is actually up here in the site description. And then we can start looking at our alarms. So if we want to go to our alarm tab, we'll click the alarms right here. Very first thing when we come into the alarm tab is we want to click on save alarms. AT&T wants us to go through and click and highlight each alarm that we're there to clear. But since this alarm description says LTE cell admin down, we have no idea what that is going to. We don't know if that's going to alpha 700 or beta 2100. And if you click that and save and you try and log out, it thinks that we didn't clear that alarm. So what we found, a little cheat way to do it, is not select any of these boxes and just go hit save alarms. And then we can still verify we cleared the alarms, but it makes logging out a little bit easier if we do have to return with parts, like a bad return with a new RH. So very first thing we want to do is save our alarm screen. After that, we can, so that's after we hit save. Up here on the top, we have a little check to save button. And then we have 0 alarms on UMTS or GSM, 8 alarms on LTE, and then 0 alarms on UMTS. So if I want to open these up, all I have to do is click on the LTE, and it'll pull down and give us our alarms. So we can see our vendor's ALU, which is Alcatel Lucent, site ID, the COL 03047, now gets us a drop-down menu of alarms. So the downfall to this is we cannot tell what this alarm pertains to or what RH specifically it is to. So what we have to do is copy and paste this alarm into another PDF document, and it'll give us a breakdown of what that alarm is. Then there's an update alarm tab. If we think we got something back on air, cleared the alarm, then we can hit update alarms, and it will save these alarms. So after that, we want to go through and start reading and seeing what our alarms are. So we can double click on this and highlight the whole LTE.IK4007020, copy that, and there is a PDF document on the FTP you can download, and search that, and it'll give us what the alarm means. So to search a PDF, you can do Control F, and then up here on the top right hand side, you can copy and paste your alarm into it, and it'll find it for you. Since this document's 4,800 pages long, it'll take forever to find anything. So it'll give us our alarm ID, impact, description, and remedial action. So this is PCI confusion. It's just meaning that it's having a hard time talking to name ring cells. The whole site is. So it's nothing that pertains to us right now, but it is nice to go down and read each of those alarms every time you log in to kind of familiarize yourself and see what alarms keep popping up over and over that don't affect us. Like specifically this PCI confusion one, we'll see this almost on every single site, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's nothing that affects us whatsoever with our job. So you can go back to your main page by clicking the little globe up here, and that'll get you back, or arrow key back on the website. I forgot to mention this too on the very first page, but you can do this from your cell phone. You don't necessarily need a laptop, but you can go in and log in with your cell phone. So once we get the alarm saved, we'll come into our RSSI readings. This will give us all our RSSI readings for UMTS and LTE, and right now we're on LTE, the initial readings, and this will automatically save it for us. And then if we rerun readings, at the very bottom of the screen, there's a tab to hit run. Any new readings will be under the current tab. So right here we can see 7A, 7B, and 7C. Those are all 700 or 700 LTE. 2A, 2B, and 2C would be 2100 LTE, and 9A, 9B, and 9C would be 1900 LTE. And it looks like they just added 7A and 7B and 7C, so those are all off air right now. And what I'll do is either take a screenshot with my phone and save this for turning in to Tyler or AT&T, or you can just highlight it all and copy it and paste it into a Word document or a Excel document. And these are our initial UMTS readings. So we have cell 1, which would be alpha, cell 2 would be beta, cell 3 would be gamma. Those are all 1900. And then 4, 5, and 6 would be 850, alpha, beta, gamma. So it's always left to right for alpha, beta, gamma. And then when we go back to our home, by hitting the little globe up here, you can click on sectors, and then that'll pull up our sectors that we can lock down. So if I want to lock down beta sector, I would click on beta lock. So we have our lock on beta, and that will you can only lock down beta sector at that point. So you can lock down beta LTE, and then you can lock down beta UMTS, but you can't lock down alpha and beta or beta and gamma. It's always got to be on beta, but you can lock down all the technology on beta sector or gamma sector or alpha sector. So once you click on the lock, then you can come down here and click go, and up on the top it'll say running, and then once it's locked it'll say LTE COL 0347 is locked, and then you can start your work. When we want to log out of the site, if we are not going to be returning, or if we are going to be returning to the site to replace an antenna or RRH that we didn't have in stock, all we want to do is do details of work completed. So in here we could put found bad antenna on beta LTE, we'll need to return with parts, and then we can click close. So if we want to return to the site and replace parts, we want to just fill out the details of work completed. We do not want to close out the WRT ticket. Once the site's 100% fixed and we can close out the WRT ticket and all of our increases for man lifts or any other special labor has been approved, we can verify that with Tyler, and then we can click our WRT ticket. So right now this is basically what we just covered. If we want to return with parts to replace, we'll return with antenna due to failing PIM. Then we click close and we'll see site health check running come up here and eventually give us our checkout number. If we want to completely close out our WRT ticket, we're completely done with the ticket and the site's all fixed. Once you click the WRT button, disposition will show up. So on this site, it was a remote radio head. So you can roll down here and find your remote radio head, and then click cause. This was loose power wires at the RH. So I selected installation workmanship because the installer didn't have the power wires tight. And then once that's done, then you can come down here and do details of work completed. Install crew had taken RH off air due to loose power wires. Install crew got RH back on air. So once this is all filled out, then we can click close. And then up here we have our health check running. Please wait. It'll sit there and spin for 5 or 10 minutes, and it'll either say completed and closed out or contact NSFD. At that time, if it does fail, you want to call NSFD, and that excuse me, that number is on the last page of this PDF also, or document also. So at this point, sectors restored, no new alarms, confirmation number and we want to write that down and send that to Tyler also, along with our pre-work ID. And at this point, we're logged out of the site, and then we can hit our home button to go back home and log into another site. So the biggest thing to remember we need to record is our pre-work ID, which is today's date followed by a 4 or 3-digit number. Our confirmation number, which is our NSFD checkout number. We need to record both of those numbers. We need to get screenshots of our RSSI readings and alarms, both pre and post. So when we first get on site compared to when we leave the site, to show that we either cleared alarms or we have the same amount of alarms that we logged in. And then before we close our WRT ticket, we need to make sure we have all the increases approved for man lifts or additional labor. If we are returning to a site to replace an antenna, we want to leave the WRT ticket unchecked and give a simple description of work completed and stating we're going to return to the site with such and such parts, and that way we do not close out the ticket. If we do close out the WRT ticket and need to return, that becomes a big hassle. We have to have our MCAC manager reopen it, and it becomes a little bit of a hassle. So those are the big key things to record. And then on this last page, some helpful hints. Control Alt and print screen copies just the current tab you're on, so you're not copying your whole desktop as a screenshot. Control C is copy, Control V is paste, our vendor ID, the web portal website, AT&T National Field Service Desk, microwave department, and COL would be Colorado LTE equipment, and COU would be Colorado UMTS equipment. And that should cover it.